he was captured stomping Joe Eatman's sign to the ground. You know, I'd just say to Matthew, you're a man of God. Look yourself in the mirror and get yourself right. You got some issues.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
There was another election in Tuscaloosa last week on Tuesday that for most folks is going to feel pretty small, but for the UAW, there was a lot at stake as far as, you know, reputationally and morally and things like that. Can you talk to us about the city council race? And we're going to talk about the city council race and why it was so important, but the race was between Matthew Wilson and Joe Eatman. Remind us who Matthew Wilson is.
Yeah, so my friend Matthew Wilson, he's a small time pastor. Lives in Tuscaloosa. I think he has a congregation kind of in the country south of Tuscaloosa. He's also a District 1 city councilman. And the week before our election, he came on our shop floor during production hours and proceeded to do his best effort to just terrify workers about the union, tell them all kind of things. He was in the same boat with give the new guy a chance. He even tried to take credit for getting the previous CEO to resign. What he said to workers was some of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard. Telling them, you know, I'm from the country too, and, you know, you may not be getting everything you want, but, you know, us poor folks from the country, we need to be grateful for what we have. Keying in on the black workers, in a lot of ways, taking advantage of new hires and trying to intimidate them. Not something you would expect out of a man of God. So, you know, that was wrong in the worst kind of way, taking advantage of your power like that. And, you know, I was insulted big time. I actually emailed Matthew on the Saturday after he did that, leading into our election, and told him, when it's time for you to be reelected, you can count on me doing all I can to make sure you don't win.
He was really, it was really fascinating, some of the things that he was doing. And like before the election, I remember he did a big, like 15-minute long local news interview. And for folks who watch local news, you know, 15 minutes is a long time to be on a local TV news. And one of the things, if I'm remembering right, that he said was he considers himself to be walking in the footsteps of Martin Luther King by opposing this union election. And I was just so baffled that that somebody, a black preacher, would be willing to so contort the legacy of MLK when MLK, literally the last thing that he did was supporting a strike by union workers in Memphis. And so the idea that you know, you are literally trying to bust a union and you're going to bring out MLK's name was just such a wild thing for for me to see him do. And so, you know, I'm curious. Obviously, for us, we're a union radio program. You're a UAW supporter at Mercedes in Tuscaloosa, right? We care about this because we want to dance on the political grave of somebody who opposed the union campaign, right? But this is for the people in the community. There were more things at stake. Obviously, this was not just a one-issue election. What were his you know, what was he campaigning on, and who is his opponent, and what was he campaigning on?
So just like most incumbents, they campaign on more of the same. And through door knocking and listen to people in the district feedback, he hadn't done anything. So I really don't know what his point was, except from his pastor work. And some people give him credit that, you know, there's definitely a violent crime problem over in that district. And it's like somebody said, we don't see him anything to help with a violent crime, but if somebody happens to be murdered, he's the first one on the scene. So he shows up when the cameras are on. He clearly is, you know, starving for attention, but he really as far as the residents of the district saw, what had he done? They couldn't think of anything except be on the cameras. Joe Eatman grew up in that district, has since went on and had a career in education, coached basketball at the community college, and now is like dean over outreach. He wants to see that district improve. He wants to see it cleaned up. He wants kids taken care of, and he doesn't starve for the attention that Matthew Wilson is. And another thing is, like Joe says, is he was kind of brought into some of those same discussions that Matthew was when the local Chamber of Commerce wanted local preachers to come out publicly against the union effort. And in those meetings, Joe said, like me, if it weren't for unions, a lot of the people of the black community would have been working for peanuts forever. So not only will we not speak against the union, we're for the union. We're for workers. We're not for workers just taking the crumbs and being grateful for it. So a clear contrast in principles and the desire to work. Joe Eatman won the campaign because he worked and because he had supporters willing to work for him. And Matthew just stood on the corner with street signs. And of course, you saw in the video, he was captured stomping Joe Eatman's sign to the ground. I'd just say to Matthew, you're a man of God. Look yourself in the mirror and get yourself right. You got some issues.
Yeah, it is just a really strange clip to watch. Typically, I don't know that I've ever followed a local, like a local race that didn't have a yard sign scandal. I mean, it's just such a common feature of local races, but typically what you see is like a volunteer or something taking down a sign. You don't actually see the candidate themselves doing it. And so it's very weird, very, very weird. We do have the clip queued up now. Let's go ahead and play this. So for those of you who are not seeing it, he just kicked it over just now. And so there you go. It's just it's a very, very strange sort of thing. What happened there? I don't know why you would do that exactly, what the point of that is, especially as the candidate themselves. Just a very strange thing to do. And so the UAW came out in force to support his opponent, Joe Eatman.
Hey, 5 seconds. Just wanted to say that this is only possible because of our donors. If you want to see more of this, then consider donating yourself at tvlr.fm/donate.
And so what specifically did the UAW do to support Eatman?
Yeah, so primarily, we have a local official UAW at the local ZF plant. So workers from that union came out, knocked on doors. At my workplace, we took up money from workers to donate to the campaign, and you just outwork them. An incumbent is hard to beat at any level, but if you can get on a level playing field where it's who's willing to put the time in and earn the respect of the community and show that they deserve it, then you can beat them. And so the UAW helped in that. They've got a lot of experience at rallying community support. The cause was just. I mean, for somebody, it's like this. I'm pro-union. I'll always vote yes. I believe workers are better any time that they have a contract to sit down and negotiate with their employer and protect themselves. But when you have a union election, that election is between those workers, even of opposing views. And if you're outside, like him, he didn't say, I work at the plant, my wife or spouse or son. I mean, why were you there? Did somebody pay you or offer you a favor? So, and when you have titles, pastor, city council, that's egregious. And you claim to be, representing Jesus. I don't remember Jesus, taking a stand in favor of the Roman emperor. He was for the oppressed, not for the oppressor. And if you listen, even to the people that voted no in that union election. They won't tell you that the bosses at Mercedes love the workers. That I promise you, they won't tell you that. So, you know, at the end of the day, you know, the UAW was on the side of right, standing up for those that needed the help. And it sent a clear message, I think an undeniable message that, you know, when workers do stick together, their cause is righteous. They're a powerful force. So this was on a small scale, but I think if these politicians and business leaders, if they think that this is not able to be replicated, I think they're badly mistaken.
Yeah. Are there any other messages that you think that politicians or other folks should take from this episode?
Yeah, you know, look at your constituency. Yeah, the big business leaders and the uber millionaires of the world, they got the money and the power. But your constituency, who are mostly, you know, lower middle class or the working poor, man, well, they make the numbers. Look out! Look out for the people that live in your districts. Have their best interests at heart instead of these big businesses that don't deserve it. You look out for them, and you'll never lose an election. But it's easy to tell when you're on the side of the company and the person that's mistreating the little guy. If anything, people this day and age should observe and be honest about is that people are pretty pissed off in the middle class and the lower middle class and the working poor of how they've been disrespected and talked down to by people in charge. So, you know, take that for granted at your own peril.
Jeremy Kimbrell, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.